welcome everybody, and sorry for the delay. Had a little bit of technical difficulty out there here tonight, but nonetheless, myself and Nick Halda, we're live here at Michigan International Speedway, so welcome here. Let's get right to it. See the starting order for tonight's Great Lakes 200 here, Nick. Seth Berger, Ryan Johnson starting on the front row. Scott Healy and Joseph Causey, row number 2. Ed Shearer and Mike Bosby in row 3.
Row 4 is going to be Timothy Latham and Johan Seminario. Row 5, Matthew Dula and Brandon O'Main. Row 6, another JW Racing driver, Randy Nichols, and to his outside starting 12th, Brad Herman from Gear Up Motorsports.
Yeah, so let's go through the rest of the field here as they start to pull off pit road. Got about 31 cars out there here, so a decent-sized field for the Buttkicker Cup Series here in the cutoff race here, race number 13 of 20. Reese Schaefer, last week's winner, he's going to be starting row 7 alongside Jordan Sailors. Lane Hostler, Scott Kalal in row number 8, Justin Rideout and Corey Saucier in row number 9. With your teammate Drew Ballesteros there in row number 10 with Thomas Toomey starting in 20th. So as these guys pull off of pit road, we didn't even get to really talk about it because I was pretty much cramming to get this stream on air, and thankfully we are on air here on Speed Racing Network. Nick, I got to ask you though, who you looking at here tonight? Big race for a lot of guys out there.
Big race. It's the cutoff race like you mentioned. So Michael, tonight I figured I'd take one of those cutoff drivers. Figuring when push came to shove, they're going to have a lot to race for, and one driver made it pretty easy. Scott Healy there, I believe, qualified third. He's sitting there just 15 points back from Politis there at the cut line. And 17th there, the second car out. He put in a good qualifying, looked good in practice. I think he's going to come away with the win.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit further up towards the front. I think this suits the Tank Racing stable. And got to mention, too, we didn't get a chance to look at it. We'll look at it during the break. A big matchup in the team book, too, tonight. Tank Racing going up against Gear Up Motorsports. And I'm going to go ahead and take that 88 machine of Joseph Causey starting P number 4 here tonight. I think he gets another win. He's out here just having fun tonight like a lot of these guys are. We've got 8 drivers that have clinched their spot here in the SRN Buttkicker Cup Series playoffs, but we've still got 7 more spots available as they approach that Geico restart zone. We're going to see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving here at Michigan.
Front 2 rows stay a little bit side by side, but Seth Berger able to finally break away and pull out, and he'll have the preferred line into 1 and 2, as we'll have Healy and Johnson side by side.
So coming off of 2, Seth Berger gets a little bit of loose there. Ryan Johnson going to take a peek to the inside. We got a drag race down the back straightaway. Johnson going to win it down into turn number 3, but will he take that position away from Seth Berger? No, he's going to hang strong there on the outside.
Seth should be able to hang strong here. Ryan Johnson's going to be real careful coming off this corner. The car's going to want to wash up, want to get loose, and play just like that. You saw the little wiggle, able to keep it straight. They're going to drag race to the line. I think Berger barely leads lap 1.
So just like that, 1 lap in the book, still side by side out front. Joseph Causey there in 3rd place here, but still Ryan Johnson not giving up. He knows that clean air is important here at Michigan and gets that good run down the back straightaway here.
Berger's going to get a big push from Causey, giving him into shot into the turn 3, and you see Ryan Johnson have to back out as the car gets a little bit loose. It's one thing to note here early with these tires loose, these cars are going to want to slide around this big track. They tend to be really, really loose in clean air and really, really tight if you're behind the car in front of you. These guys are going to have save tires. This track, probably more than any track we've raced so far this year, the car is going to change throughout the run. It's going to start off really, really loose, and depending on how you drive it, it's either going to get worse or it's going to get super tight. You know it's going to do one of the two, and you got to try to find that middle ground, as Scott Healy is going to pull just a little bit ahead here of Timothy Latham. Let's look on the pylon now. Healy is in 4th, Latham in 5th. Look at that pylon. Green means you're in, red means you're out. Looking for the lucky dog race. Yellow, well, you're right there in the hot seat danger zone, trying to turn your yellow into green.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of a legend there for you there on the tower. in case you forget, so thanks for bringing that up, Nick. A lot to get to here as we had a little bit of a late start here tonight, but nonetheless off to a great start here for the Great Lakes 200. It looks like we got some side-by-side racing. A little bit further on back, Brandon Domain falling back a little bit. Now Drew Ballesteros to the outside of him in the 44, so Brandon Domain down 3 spots after starting 10th here, trying to hang on. Probably saving his stuff. This is a very long-run, tendency-driven track.
Yeah, Brad's a driver like myself. He sees he's getting kind of freight trained there on the outside. He knows he's stuck on that inside. Got to be a little bit more careful on those tires. Figures it's not worth fighting right now. Save his stuff. Hopefully he'll catch back up to these guys. He kind of drives similar to me where he'll look for that long run speed to try to take advantage of that.
So single file down the back straightaway all the way back to 16th there, but no more as Timothy Latham takes a peek to the inside of Scott Healy. So now a battle, and Scott Healy just going to take it to the outside of Ryan Johnson. Almost 3 wide there for a second. Latham almost in the wall, but saves it there. Side by side now with Ryan Johnson for 4th.
That's kind of what I expected to see from Healy tonight. That's why I picked him. He's got to go. He's sitting there 15 points back. 31 points here to gate it with the win, plus bonus points for the win, leading a lap, all the above. So he's got to try to maximize every point he can. He wants to try to get that car out front, even try to get the most laps led if he can. He's got to get every point he can tonight.
Yeah, so a lot of these guys are going to be looking for those bonus points. So we'll see and keep an eye on who's able to take advantage of that and make up some ground. I think we're going to see somebody that's listed in that orange maybe make their way up here, just like you said, maybe looking at a winner from further on back in the pack. Not taking my eyes off of the JW driver, Randy Nichols, either. He's been fast here in the last couple of weeks here on Speed Racing Network, so definitely looking to see him possibly make his way up. He's currently running back here in the 8th position.
And I think a lot of those drivers you see in green were expecting some aggressive driving from some of those orange and yellow highlighted numbers. Simply because a lot of guys that were fast in practice, I think, kind of laid back a little bit in qualifying, kind of dropped back a little bit. Some of the faster cars I've seen in practice are kind of mid-pack, kind of hanging back there. I think they know some of these guys are going to be real aggressive early.
So right now, Nichols with a good run on Shearer, but not going to make anything of it. He's going to try and push the 45 down the front straightaway. You do have to work with people here a little bit, not as much as you see at super speedways, but you got to use that draft to your advantage, and that's what he's doing. As he's going to kind of slingshot to the outside of the 45, now side by side down the back straightaway.
And Latham got a little wobble coming off, so he should get a big run on Latham, and he does. Latham kind of drops down a little bit, trying to break that draft, and he's going to take a little bit lower line into 3 and 4. Nichols is going to get that run up on him, and we have our first caution of the night.
Yeah, it's looking like it might be Dave Fuchs Jr. back here in the 4. So we're going to have to take a look and see what exactly happened there on the admin box rec replay. So side by side with the 40, I believe that's Justin Ride out there next to him, and Rob Norfleet just behind him in the 56. A little bit of contact, might have been netcode. We'll have to take a closer look at that. It sends the 4 spinning. No contact, though, from any of the other drivers out there. I think everybody stays clean after that.
Yeah, just a little bit of contact. Shouldn't mess up Fuse too much. Arrow is going to be huge, especially down this long back straightaway. And this might be something we've seen, if it's not netcode, we've seen this a little bit more on the update. I think, kind of the same thing we saw with, I think Nichols got into a driver last week where the 2 cars got next to each other and the arrow just kind of sucked them into each other. And that almost looks very similar to what we saw last week. I saw in the driver Discord afterwards, both drivers talking about it, how, man, they just felt like they both cars just kind of sucked into each other.
So riding on board right now with Politis. Dave Fuchs Jr. gets that close. And this is one of our drivers on the cut line. So the 6, yeah, you might have to check his pants after that one.
Code Brown alert. He's got a second life. Let's see what he can do with it. But yeah, he committed to that inside line, was planning on making that arc, and then you see that guy spinning. That's a bad situation.
So we're going to sit here and watch the race off of pit road as everybody gets their first pit stop of the night underway here after the first caution. So we did have some people stay out, mixed bag. 12 other drivers staying out. Seth Berger going to beat everybody off pit road.
It didn't have too many green flag runs there, so these guys figuring these guys get the colder tires, going to take them a few laps to get up and running. Maybe they can pull out a little bit on these guys. Not a bad move, especially if you're, Healy up here. Some of these guys up front, track position's going to be huge. We've seen how hard it is to pass. So these guys are going to not give up that track position and willing to sacrifice at least tires here early.
What do you say we take this opportunity to go ahead and maybe whip up some point standings here? I'm working my magic back here so we can get that for you guys out there in the TV world. So let's go ahead, bring it up for you here. This was coming into this week. As I said, 8 drivers there in green, all locked into the playoffs, and all of them with wins too, stinking up the rest of the field here. So there you got 7 other drivers looking to battle their way in, and there you see Randy Nichols, that first driver behind the cut line. So he is going to have his work cut out for him here tonight, still making up some ground on the rest of the field. But also got to take a look at these guys as well. This is the rest of the field trying to make their way in.
Yeah, pretty much. Theoretically, Scott Kalal up. You got to figure with 31 points out there, you can, bad night from one of those other drivers, you could easily that's only you only got to beat him by half the field basically. So those drivers from 18 on up are feeling like they've got a shot tonight.
Yeah, we still got a shot to give you last week's standings. Well, the last week's results and this week's standings coming into this week. Tank Racing still at the top of the board of the team standings, 12-0. Gear Up there, 10-2. That's your matchup here this week. So Gear Up going to try and give them their first win potentially here. We'll see if they can get that done. Phoenix Virtual there in third at 8-4. JW in fourth at 6-6. And still got a few weeks before we go ahead and look at maybe seeing who's going to be the final 2 teams in that 3-race playoff. But this is a look at your team standings before we go ahead and head back out on the track.
And a big week for Gear Up just psychologically, put a little chink in that tank armor and see if they can't, say, hey, guys, I know you're 12-0, but we're getting close to playoff time. And if you've got a head-to-head, the last head-to-head win against them, that's going to give you confidence against this tank team that's been rolling. Your comment earlier when we started this race, it seems like a tank type race, but what of any of these tracks hasn't been?
Yeah, it's hard to come up with any. You're exactly right. And you know what? We just did a whole pre-race show under caution. I think we could start this thing even later next time.
Hey, that's how we do. Rolling right along, rolling with the punches.
Exactly, and we're rolling right back with the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag here at Michigan.
And right away, we see 3 of our top 10 drivers, either orange or yellow, fighting here hard with Mosby, the 99 car, mathematically out of it. Still racing for money, though. Still money on the line. And he's also wants to get confidence for that Lucky Dog race that's coming up as well. And remember, this week 13 is a non-drop week, or non-droppable, however you want to phrase it. This week is going to count for everybody.
Yeah, so that's exactly why you're seeing the full field out here tonight. You got to make this race if you want any shot of getting your way in if you're not listed in green in the standings. So there you see it. Causey closely followed by his teammate there, Ed Shearer in the 45. Scott Haley, your pick there in third. Mosby still hanging strong back here in fourth.
And these guys are probably going to want to get single file, knowing they're on the older tires. They're going to want to get out, let those guys on the fresher tires hopefully burn them up a little bit coming through the field. And by the time they get through, the tires will equal out. These guys, I don't think I'll see these top 5 really push too hard. As I say that, Healy looks to the outside, going to try to get that run. Just gets a little tight.
Yeah, this is on board of Scott Healy right on the front bumper cam. Looks like we got something happening, though, further on back in the pack.
Oh, we got a big pile up right out. Looks like he's sliding across. That's the 11, the 6. Yeah, I think Dula, the 41, looks like he might have checked up and not caught anything. He was awfully slow. I don't see any damage, though. He might have been able to check up and avoid it. Maybe some front left damage there. Hard to tell. Hard to tell on the new... we've had some updates on these cars, and I know some of the hoods have changed. But it looks clean.
Yeah, I don't even really understand. I haven't had time to even look at it, but I know there was an update, and it cost me some time here getting on the sim here tonight. That just shows you how busy I am sometimes. But let's take a look, see exactly what happened we're going to see what happened here with the 11 of Thomas Toomey.
Might be a situation where those.
Oh, this was already happening in front of him.
Oh, and that's Seth Berger and Johan Seminario, I believe, was involved.
And lucky,
that's a big.
Yeah, lucky for Seth Berger. He's the last driver that clinched his way in here tonight. So let's head up a little bit further. Wow. Yeah, this is definitely the root cause of it here. I'm going to take it back a little bit further. Wow, they were already 4 wide going through that turn.
Yeah, you see Seth got a great run here through the middle. The 3 gets a little tight. I think Johan, look at Timothy Latham making that bottom stick. Yeah, I think Johan had a little wiggle that kind of spooked Seth Berger a little bit, and he ended up moving up just a little bit too much. Just close packed racing.
Yeah, well, that's big for a lot of these guys fighting for that playoff spot here, that ever so important playoff spot. We're going to go ahead and take another look at it one more time from Politis's view.
Oh, he almost made it through.
That can be a big hit.
Yeah.
Not sure if he's going to have any sort of engine damage or not, but sounds like it might be all right. He might be able to keep going here tonight. He's going to have to if he wants any chance at making these playoffs. So a lot to unfold here. A lot of drivers pitting this time by, and we're going to go ahead and step aside and run a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call them champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today, and maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to me. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
Back out here, the iRacing pace car lights are off, and that means one thing, Nick. We're about to get this action ramped back up at this 2-mile oval here in Brooklyn, Michigan.
It's shaped a lot like those 1.5 miles, but that extra half a mile makes a big difference, especially down that back straightaway. And this track, like I said, you're going to start off loose, and this might be the race that those cars are going to change the most throughout the runs as we start, I guess, run 3 of the night, with Scott Healy on the outside charging to the front.
He gets a good jump there on the start. Lane Hostler going to come up there through to second as well. Scott Kalal back in third. Kalal, one of those drivers looking to make his way in, and he's been in the playoffs in many of the seasons past here in Speed Racing Network, because you see all the drivers fanning out back there. He knows how to get it done, so he's got some work to do, but currently running at number 3. He is not in a bad position.
Latham's been driving hard, and he's got those tires nice and warmed up, but he got real loose. Luckily, nobody was underneath him. He's found a little bit lower line through 3 and 4 that he's really been able to stick as he's moved his way up to third, and I think he's going to charge here hard for second. He's going to look to the inside and make the move on Hostler.
Yeah, so
Healy sees him coming.
Yeah, a lot of lanes to run here, so Healy definitely going to block his progress But he's got to go back up and defend Lane Hostler as well. This is tough for the 64 to manage both of these drivers, and soon he's going to have a full head of steam. Ryan Johnson in that 43 as well knocking on the door. So a lot of fast drivers here that have already pitted, and a few guys that have not been dropping through the field like rocks currently. Oh, we got a wreck.
Got a wreck. Looks like Dula was involved there, possibly. Well, at least I saw at least 3 cars get damaged there.
Yeah, so that's Mike Mosby. Let's go
And you
ahead.
see that car laboring around to get back up to speed.
So a little bit more 4-wide action there. Causey gets into Matt Dula, sends him up into the wall. Dula, one of those drivers looking to make their way in. That's a big time damage for the 41. We'll take a look at it again.
I think you got Causey on fresher tires, able to get this bottom to stick. I think Mosby was awful tight coming off this corner. Had to really check up. Dula's trying to make sure he's staying underneath him, and just had Causey there to his inside.
Just watching the rest of the guys scatter behind him, man, is nerve-wracking knowing what's on the line. One of our good friends here in the booth, Brandon Domain, he's one of these guys trying to solidify his spot above the cut line here tonight. This was close.
Another driver with a second chance at life.
So you see it all happening there, just right in front of him, and just like that, he gets on by, and just like that, a lot of strategy being played here tonight as we see more drivers coming down pit road.
I think the start of this race has created the perfect storm where I mentioned earlier a lot of fast drivers were kind of laying back, expecting guys to get aggressive. But now the different tire strategy has really shuffled this field up on who can get aggressive and who's trying to hang on. And now these guys are realizing, all right, time for me to get tires. I can't keep them back much longer.
Yeah, so they're coming on down here to get their service on lap number 19. So, man, it's kind of funny to think after last week's race, Nick, we saw 3 cautions at Bristol Motor Speedway. 3 cautions. We're already to 3 cautions here tonight at Michigan.
But it was not the cutoff race. Tensions are a little bit higher. You got a track that people can feel like they can span out a little bit, try to get it to stick. And I think that's what we're seeing. The guy that's been the best is Latham, though. He's been able to really drive up through the field.
You mentioned Timothy Latham, so why don't we bring him on up to the broadcast booth and speak to him real quick. Hey, Timothy, it's Greg Olenek, Nick Halda up here in the broadcast booth. Wanted to pick your brain here while we're riding around under yellow. This race has been pretty intense so far. Are you surprised by the level of intensity we've seen here for the Great Lakes 200 tonight?
Well, a little bit yes, a little bit no. I figured, we'd try to minimize the caution since this is a non-drop race. But yeah, it's always going to be intense when it's the last race of the regular season. So I'm sure it's going to pick back up soon, and we might have some more cautions. But hopefully this thing stays green and we can stay out front here.
Definitely been one of the more aggressive drivers moving up through the field. Got a little bit different line, a little bit lower line than everybody so far. Tire wear is going to be key here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to get low there on those restarts because those guys in front of me didn't have fresh tires like I did, so I wanted to get as many spots as possible. And we're up front here, like I said. Hopefully we stay up here, and hopefully we can conserve enough tires and stay up here and get this win.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll send you back down there to your teammates. Go ahead and kick ass on this restart, and we'll see you here shortly.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, so Timothy Latham there, we're going to send him back. I had to give him a little pep talk, get ready for that Geico restart zone, because it's kind of gotten into people's minds here lately since they've added that timing box where you kind of got to maintain a certain speed. It's kind of gotten some people here lately, so you really got to nail these restarts. It's kind of leveled the playing field a little bit more.
Now we'll have to ask the drivers. I'm curious, because I was hearing on the last update that it was removed. So I don't know if we have it tonight or not, because I think it's some of the officials guys were saying, and some officials they were seeing at the last update, it may have been removed to get cleaned up a little bit. Because like you said, we've caught a lot of our drivers here in the league with the black flag as we're getting ready to go to green.
Yeah, see, more things that I don't know about the updates here lately. So thanks for the update. It's kind of nice to know, even though I haven't been very much out in front lately. So the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving once again here at Michigan International Speedway. And Timothy Latham does just that, gets out to a great restart here in that 5 machine. Lane Hostler not able to clear Ryan Johnson. Both of those drivers going to be side by side coming off a 2.
And they're going to stack everybody up behind them, not really give them ways to go as you see the mad dash to get to that top line. Hostler's going to be stuck there on the inside with a 5, 6, 7, 8 car train on the outside. How long is he going to be able to compete?
Ooh, making contact back there in the 61. Nichols gets by, though. Lane Hostler letting him go.
Yeah, I think Lane knows he's a little bit tight right there. He's got nowhere to go. Now he's stuck 3 wide, not where you want to be if you're fighting old tires.
Look at that battle. That's Aaron Gerwitz, another driver we're seeing on the cut line. He's moved his way up to 5th here. So this strategy that we're seeing all these drivers change up is really going to shake up this field. Aaron Gerwitz up 21 positions after starting in 26th place tonight, currently 5th. He needs to make a great run here. Not much ground between him and that cutoff line.
Not at all. He's got Herman McAvoy with him as well, and Healy sitting there in 10th. A lot of playoff drivers or guys that are right around that cut line racing up front. A lot of great action up front.
So riding on board with Aaron Gerwitz. This is the line most drivers preferring to run here tonight. That second lane, you see about 4 lanes in total here in Michigan. You can run each and every one of them, but each and every one of them going to have a different outcome. Right now, looking like everybody preferring that second lane here in the Cup cars. So we'll see if anybody's going to make any moves to try and pass on the outside. That's what I'm curious to see here tonight, if these cars got anything for that outside lane.
And what you're going to see here is these guys are going to kind of do that, kind of enter a little bit higher, run that second lane. They're going to almost like a late apex, try to get a late turn down so they can keep that car pointed down and just want to push out to the wall as we're getting close to 3 wide back there. I think that's Norfleet making that outside stick.
Yeah, Norfleet, another one of those drivers outside the cut line here, so he has got to try and make up some ground. Actually, if he is, I think he is inside the cut line by not much. I'm getting all my drivers confused. Got a lot on my mind, so got to bring up what we got going on here tonight. And there you see him in 13th, 7 points to the good. That is not safe by any means. So that 56 is charging to the front right now.
Yeah, he sees all these drivers ahead of him. You know, your spotter's telling you, you know what driver numbers you're looking around you. So he knows he's got those guys up ahead of him. He's got to try to stay ahead of McAvoy and a couple of these other guys.
We'll see if he's able to make some ground up. And Timothy Latham now side by side with Nichols. Nichols making his way up through the field. We got a 3-way battle for the lead. Johnson in the middle. Both of those guys going to go to the outside and inside, and it's a drag race down the straightaway, but Nichols going to go ahead, pull out in front. Jordan Sailors there in second.
I think Ryan Johnson, cooler heads prevail there. He's in. He sees a teammate fighting for it. He really didn't push hard in that middle there. He kind of gave those guys a lane, preferred lane to get out and get clean. He'll get resettled up. Him and Latham are going to tag team up here a little bit and draft up, try to get back up to these guys.
So single file through most of the field here. No battles inside the top 20 whatsoever, but all it takes is one turn. You see everybody start to fan out. That's Blair Holloman trying to make some progress in that 10 machine, that Ford Mustang back there. He is up 18 spots from where he started back in 25th here tonight. So he's charging to the field with that 9. They've pretty much stayed nose to tail this whole time.
Field fans out, 1, 2, 3, lined up single file, then 4th and 5th fighting with Johnson stuck inside. He's going to have Healy now try to stick his nose to the outside. He's going to be there. How long is Ryan Johnson going to fight to keep on that inside? And right now, Sailor's pushing hard on our leader, and there's Ryan Healy getting around Johnson and now putting a little heat on that number 9 as well.
Yeah, so Healy wanting to make up the ground that he lost from pitting last time by. He is by far way ahead of anybody else. The next car that came down on that last stop is going to be Scott Kalal, and he's back in 12th. So Healy has made up some big time ground here up to 5th after coming back out in the mid about mid-pack and 15th or 16th, so picking up spots left and right here in that 64 machine.
And he's going to have the better drive off. These guys will be even going down this backstretch here, kind of rolling into the corner, but center off is where that 64 is really going to have a big advantage. You see right there in the center of the corner, the 9's kind of pushing up there, and he's able to keep that car rotated down, get a big run off. He's going to take, what's that, 4th, and he sees 2nd and 3rd side by side, so he's going to catch up with these guys real quick as well. And even going to get under Latham as they go into 1.
Healy making a big push to the front, goes side by side with Nichols. Nichols going to have the runoff of 2 here, but Scott Healy, I think, will be able to hang there if he gets a little bit of side draft on the 42. The 42 clears, and he goes back up to that high line.
A good move there by Nichols. He saw Healy coming and kind of dropped down about a half a lane to kind of pinch Healy's exit off, but that big shove Healy got going into the corner going to set him well clear of Nichols. And those two are going to run out for a little while. How far can Healy run away from this field now?
I don't know, but just like that, 30 laps are in the book here. 3 cautions so far tonight, but so far so good here on this latest run. And Scott Healy gets out to a good lead. Ryan Johnson now side by side with Aaron Gerwitz. Gerwitz up to the top 5 as they've got Latham and Jordan Sailors getting into one another. 3 wide heading into turn 3 here. Nichols under pressure now too.
And a good job by Gerwitz to see the big check up, and that Ryan Johnson and himself had a big run, giving Ryan Johnson a little bit of room to come down. Didn't really use those guys as a block kind of early to do that in the race. Gave that 43 a little bit of room to come down as they're both going to try to get under Sailors.
So Gerwitz gets back behind Ryan Johnson to help his entry here into turn number 1. Scott Healy starting to pull out to a big lead, 0.7 of a second for our Season 1 champion here in the Cup Series, trying to make his way in to that top 15 in points. And, man, he would really help his case with a win here tonight. So we'll see if he's able to hang up there in that 64 machine. Right now, some great battles throughout the rest of the field. Now watching Aaron Gerwitz. He's side by side with Ed Shearer now. So worried that Aaron might have burned his stuff up a little bit here. Starting to see these fresher tires make their way up through the pack.
Yeah, they're starting to roll on that outside line on these guys with the older tires getting pinched down. We're going to have another 3 wide entry into 1.
Yeah, so that's Joseph DuPont, Brian McAvoy. Wow. And Corey Saucier there. DuPont really getting into Brandon Domain there. Almost sent Domain spinning here. So
yeah, I think DuPont was just so much on the bumper of Domain there that he just kind of missed the corner entry, didn't realize where they were possibly at. A big shove. That's a couple times that I've seen some big shoves into the corner I wasn't quite expecting.
Yeah, these drivers usually not expecting that too. At such a big track like Michigan International Speedway. So that was probably a white knuckle moment there for a second in that 20 machine. But right there, Ryan Johnson going side by side, nose to tail here. 2 wide for about 4 rows. He's going on by Timothy Latham now. So Johnson's showing some good progress here on these older tires. That 43 still looks pretty fast here.
He's going to get up there and try to help his teammate Nichols catch Healy. Right now, Healy already out to a 2nd lead. But, you know, Nichols knows he's racing Healy. They're both in the orange there.
Ooh, contact.
Contact is Johnson gets a little tight, not able to get the full rotation of the bottom. Let's see what this race off the corner is going to look like.
Yeah, and you know each and every one of these drivers took note of that. They know the action ramping up here because a lot on the line in the cutoff race. And like you said earlier on in the broadcast, not able to drop this race here tonight. So you see Drew Ballesteros back there. His chances are maybe dashed 2 laps down. So he's going to need to make up some ground back in 29th. Matthew Dula, another JW Racing driver, he is a few laps down. I think he's about 6 laps down back in that 41 machine. So all those guys
Ryan Johnson right now, he's kind of,
yeah, you got something to worry about here.
And for Ryan Johnson, he's kind of lucky that he's racing around some other guys that are already locked in with Scherer and Latham. I think they're all kind of giving each other a lot of room there. I was wondering how patient Scherer was going to be with those 3 guys locked in. They're kind of content to ride right here. Now the question is, how content is that 85 going to be? As he knows, he's trying to get more and more spots. That 85 and that 9 aren't going to want to stick behind these guys running side by side for very long. Right now, just trying to stay ahead of as many cars as he can as those fresher tires are starting to work their way up to the field.
Yeah, so Blair Holloman going on by Aaron Gerwitz now. And then you got Scott Kalal, who's got 10-lap fresher tires there in the 23. So Gerwitz starting to fall back. He's got to start worrying here maybe soon. Like you said, not much of a cushion there for Gerwitz to the cut line. I believe it's about 5 points that he's got. So got to keep an eye on that, especially with Scott Healy out in front here tonight. Gerwitz is definitely alert of that.
Yeah, I think Healy and Nichols were both just about 3 or 5 points back. So right now that puts Gerwitz out, and I think Healy and Nichols, if this race were to end now, would be in. So those drivers know what's going on there. And Ryan Johnson thought he might try to help Nichols out a little bit, but Nichols runs a little bit higher line, and Johnson's going to pull side by side.
Yeah, so the JW Racing teammates there side by side out of turn 4, bringing it back to the stripe to put lap 38 here, or 37 rather, in the books. That's just how far Scott Healy is out in front of this pack now, almost to 2 seconds for the 64. So really stretching it out on these guys with those fresher tires. That strategy that he played coming down on that last stop really paying off for the driver of the 64. So if this thing stays green, it is going to be hard to catch that man.
And he's able to also save his tires a little bit as far as, as you burn them up running that far out in front. He's got clean air. These other cars, when they're stuck behind each other, they get really, really tight. So the side-by-side racing and everything is exactly what he wants to see.
And it's checking in on Johan Seminario, too, another one of those drivers trying to make their way in. He had a little bit more of a cushion coming into this week, but still currently back in 20th after that last incident. You see the damage there on the left side of the 12. He's trying to get as many spots as he can, to get as many points as he can, to try and get into these playoffs in his rookie season.
Yeah, he's out there just laboring around, hoping to get a couple more cautions, maybe fix a little bit more of that damage.
So back out in front, yeah, we'll check in on Scott Healy here in the 64. He's going to come back to the stripe and start lap 40. So the lap's starting to wind down here. This is a long race when you really think about it. 100 laps at a 2-mile oval, that's about 40 seconds each lap. It really can be a long night for these guys.
And for Healy, he knows, hey, these guys behind me, a big group's going to have to pit before I do. Keep this thing out in front. They're going to have to pit. It's not a situation where he's got going in before anybody. He's going to be able to time it pretty well. I'm sure once those guys start diving off, he's going to want to let them short pit him by so many laps. But right now, he is easily in the catbird seat, and things looking well for him, but still not even halfway, 60 laps to go.
Yeah, it almost feels like it should be past halfway here. But just like that, we still got 10 laps to go. And Ed Sheeran now starting to make his way back up through the top 5 with a little bit of fresher tires here. Seeing Lane Hostler bring it down pit road in the 61 machine. I believe he had yet to pit so far here tonight. I think he might have been the last driver that had yet to come down pit road. So he is going to fall a lap down here for a little while. But maybe once the window opens, we might see a lot of guys start to make that pit road a little bit busy. Like we said, a lot on the line, so we're going to see all sorts of strategies tonight.
And for Hostler, Ballesteros is 2 laps down, so he'll come out. He'll at least be likely in the lucky dog position, and he's hoping for around a green flag pit stop so he can cycle himself out to the front.
Yeah, so he's coming out of pit road right now. His first stop of the night in the books. So nobody else opting to come down. That does tell me, I think, that he had run it as far as he could make it before possibly run out of fuel here. So let's see if we got any other battles. Right now, Scott Kalal right on the bumper here of Joseph Causey, but not wanting to take it side by side. Yeah, he's just kind of cruising behind one of our winningest drivers here in Speed Racing Network.
Probably a good guy to follow for right now. Causey's usually found a way to drive himself to the front. So if Scott Kalal can hook himself to the back bumper of that 88, that'd be a good place to be. As everybody's kind of settled down right now, kind of content to stay where they're at through the middle part of this race.
Yeah, so we'll see what other battles we got brewing out there on the track. A little bit further back, the guy that had the first incident of the night, Dave Fuchs Jr., he's going nose to tail here with Rob Beesall. Beesall, one of those drivers on the outside looking in with the number orange there. So he's still eligible. We'll put that legend up there on the tower so you know exactly what all the colors mean. But Fuchs in a wild pack back here right now.
trying to drive his way up through, get as many spots back as he can, but he's got kind of a hornet's nest in front of him. Not really much of anywhere to go as these tires are starting to even out. The passing getting harder and harder.
So I believe that was Ballesteros who took an aggressive entry there to the inside of Corey Saucier, but Saucier going to get that run. But we'll head a little bit back further up through the field. Scott Kalal has lost the position here now. He's behind Jordan Sailors and's got a full mirror Brad Herman behind him. So Herman's slowly making his way up. And keep an eye on the team battle, too. A lot of gear-up drivers and a lot of tank drivers here in the top 10. You got Ed Shearer and Joseph Causey. They're in 4th and 6th with Timothy Latham, Brad Herman, and Rob Norfleet 5th, 9th, and 10th. So if my math is math, and right now Gear Up with the edge over Tank.
3 in the top 10 beats 2 in the top 10. I think your math holds.
All right, so my grade school years did pay off, and all that money spent at college. I know it was not a waste at all now.
Counting's hard.
Well, right now, Randy Nichols. I'm seeing all kinds of names on my SDK right now. Randy Nichols cruising right here in 3rd. Seems like Ed Shearer has kind of calmed down on his run up through the field, trying to make his way back up to where he was running for pit stops. And, it's just kind of everybody running single file right now. I'm seeing Blair Holloman on pit road in the 10. So the 10 going to make a stop here close to the halfway mark. Overshoots his stop a little bit.
Eleanor overshoots.
So the GT 350 there, it's going to lose a little bit of time from that little mishap. We'll go back to the top 5, single file, but right there, Scott Kalal still trying to work on the 55 of Jordan Sailors. Looks like Brad Herman going to come down this time, bringing Rob Norfleet, his teammate there from Gear Up Motorsports, with them.
Big tire smoke there. They both locked them up coming in. We'll see. I don't think there's going to be any speeding penalties, but they obviously were close. They locked them up coming in. So that's 3 cars you've seen drop off. So expect in the next 5 laps to see the majority of this field coming in.
Yeah, so I think pit road about to get a little bit busy, and that tells me that they will still have one more stop on the night. Latham taking a peek to the inside of the 45. We'll see if any of these guys here in the top 5 decide to come down. It looks like they will. Johnson coming down, Nichols coming down, Latham coming down as well. So all these guys going to bring it down for their first stop here of the night. Nobody else bringing it down, though. They're going to stay out there under green flag.
And Ryan Johnson got squirrely going in. This is the time of the race where, a bunch of drivers coming in, checking up, trying to weave their way back onto the track. Different speeds going on with fresher tires. It's going to get real hairy as some of these guys try to work up through the field. This is the time when we usually see that yellow possibly come out. There's a lot of drivers that want to see this thing stay green, including our leader, as Healy is now out to a 2.5-second lead over Shearer and Causey.
Yeah, Healy has a little bit more time before he has to come down, as we're a lap away from the halfway mark. He pitted a little bit after everybody else did. So we see Scott Kalal, Rob Besaw, and Brian McAvoy bring their cars down this time by. They're the only 3 drivers that are going to be takers here on lap 49, but Healy's got a little bit of time to waste here before he comes down, but it's got to be careful and make sure he nails the right time, because like we said, he could easily maybe lose some ground here and lose some points. You see how much faster everybody else is right now.
He's going to lose time on the track to these guys that have pitted, but if I'm Healy, I'm almost letting maybe the field cycle, as long as more drivers start dropping off, because it would be nice to be able to come down pit road by yourself and not, there's a little bit of a draft here, but it's not like, Talladega, Daytona, where if you're a lone car pitting, you're in a world of hurt. He's not going to want to lose too much time on track to these guys. He can't go but so long, but he also has the advantage of letting these guys pit, and you get a bunch of guys pitting together. Sometimes they have to check up, and you don't get that clean entry and clean exit. So we'll see how long he decides to keep that 64 on the track.
Yeah, so that was Timothy Latham going on by a few of the top 5 drivers there. Scott Kalal, and here comes Scott Healy this time for his stop here on the halfway mark of this race. The 64 brings it down pit road.
Yeah, he saw the advantage he was losing there. Wasn't able to put those guys or keep those guys a lap down really at all. As soon as they were able to get on the track, they were able to go by him. So he doesn't want to lose that time and all that hard work that he's done. Probably a good move to bring it on down now.
So he's
So
going to.
with all those cautions, I'm thinking we might have one, maybe two more stops.
Yeah, I have no idea. Don't have my fuel calculator up as everything was kind of crashing here before the show started here tonight. So new leader Ed Shearer out in front for Tank Racing. You see Pit Stop TV there on the side of the car. He's going to bring his car on down with his teammate here, Joseph Causey, who is probably one of the best on pit entry here in the Cup Series. Made up a lot of ground right there on the 45.
Absolutely. Got right to the bumper of that 45. I believe those are the only two in the top 10 to dive off at that time. We see Johan Seminario back out on track. And right now that's going to put Schaefer to the lead with Fuge, who we saw involved in an earlier accident. He's running second right now, and Schumacher, who we also saw involved in some of the earlier accidents, third.
Yeah, so last week's winner here, Reese Schaefer, looks like he's setting up to come down pit road this time. That first win finally off his back here in Speed Racing Network. See if he can double up here. It's been kind of quiet. Haven't talked much about Reese here tonight, so we'll see how he fares after 50 or so more laps. So back out in front, that's going to put Dave Fuchs Jr. out to the lead in that 4 machine.
He's going to lead Schumacher, Saucier, and Berger. So a couple of these guys that we saw involved early, and somebody just broke loose there.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are losing the grip here on these tires as they are stretching it as far as they can go. Ballesteros going on by and unlapping himself there of the 4. He's got to be careful if Fuchs wants to come down this time. Not going to have the opportunity with Schumacher there to the inside.
Yeah, I don't think he could have if he wanted to. He would cause a wreck there. So, but he didn't really look to commit to that bottom line. So I think he's going to roll around at least one, maybe two more times, hope for some type of a caution.
Well, once everything shuffles out here, so far, it will shuffle out to Ryan Johnson being out in front here in the 43 machine. So trying to see. It doesn't look like he's got too much of difference around the guys that are behind him on tires. So he just really nailed that pit stop. Michael Politis coming down this time by, but he's got a few car lengths between him and the 85.
Politis, I believe, was right on that cut line. Johnson's going to have Herman and Norfleet behind him trying to race their way in or secure their way in there. And that yellow suddenly outside kind of looking in, or they're in right now and they want to stay that way. And Latham, so these guys really what our top 4 is going to be within a second of each other once everything cycles out.
Justin Rideout bringing his number 40 machine down pit road for JW Racing. So just seems like we have one taker here and there now, not as many, not as busy of a pit road, I should say, in these last few laps. So that's still going to keep the lead out to Dave Fuchs Jr. here. See if he brings it on down. Looks like he's shaping up to head on down pit road.
Yeah, he's coming in. I think we'll see Schumacher and Berger come in here soon. Pretty sure these guys were running that thing out on fumes, hoping they could get a caution. That was going to be the best scenario for them as we are just now through the halfway portion of this race.
So there's your leader live from our blimp cam here on Speed Racing Network. Corey Saucier in the 3 machine. You see his name in red. He is pretty much eliminated from playoff contention as far as points go, but got to mention, Nick, a lot on the line next week, too, for these guys. It's not over as far as the championship goes.
No, that's right. The highest finishing driver outside of the playoffs next week will get the playoff lucky dog and will all of a sudden find themselves in the playoffs. So if nothing else, you want to gain some momentum, win some cash tonight, and gain some momentum and confidence to get that lucky dog playoff spot next week.
Yeah, so we'll see if anybody's able to do that. I'm pretty excited. I think that's the race that I'm watching next week. I know when we get on out there. So definitely come on back. Check that out once we get on out to my graphics not wanting to work. There we go. Kansas for the Jayhawk 180 round number 1, race number 1, right here, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. One of my favorite tracks.
A great track, a lot of action, a lot of side-by-side. The packs will be kind of real tight, so we'll see a lot of drivers feel like they got a chance to win it.
Oh yeah, everybody always feels like they have a chance to win it, right? Especially at the mile and a half. So but we'll see how these Gen 7 cars shape up once we get on out there. And these are the last two drivers to bring it on down for that round of green flag pit stops, and that will cycle the lead out to the 43 of Ryan Johnson.
Johnson put a little bit of a gap to Norfleet and Latham. I guess working their way through the field, probably able to get through just a little bit cleaner. He's got a second lead on Norfleet and Latham. Those guys should be able to draft up to him, I would think, here pretty soon. We'll see if those 4 cars behind him stay single file to catch this leader.
Yeah, this is a look at Ryan Johnson and Scott Healy out there on the track. The difference in time and where they're at here. So Healy 1.8 seconds back, but he is coming in a hurry back there in 6th currently.
I've got another one of those orange drivers trying to turn that thing yellow and green to get it in the playoffs. Kalal, Healy, Herman, Herman and Gerwitz are going to try to hold them up as much as they can, especially Norfleet. They've got to try to keep those orange drivers behind them so they can stay locked in.
Well, I think Norfleet going to have his hands full right now because he's got Scott Healy behind him, and just like that, Healy going on by side here on the backstretch, but you can see the ground being made up by the 64. Wow. He picked up 3 spots right there.
Oh, yeah, he's using that Latham move with those fresher tires, 3 spots to the inside, gaining, almost a half a second to almost 0.8 of a second, and that's just going to continue to fall down as Johnson's going to see that 64 machine get real big in that rearview mirror here soon.
Yeah, so that's the distance between him and the leader. Healy licking his chops right now. The only thing that could possibly stop him is going to be, the ever-dreaded caution flag if we do see that. But right now, looking like it's pretty good here in the field. Oh, Timothy Latham. Something's going on with him. I believe he might have just blinked out.
Oh, I did see Latham.
Or he's blinking out real bad right now.
Yeah. I did see Latham right around the time of qualifying. He did drop out of the server and come back. So hopefully his connection cleans up. But look at this top 6. 4 of the top 6, 7 of the top 8 drivers trying to race their way into the playoffs. None of these guys locked in.
Yeah, Scott Kalal right here. He sees Scott Healy, knowing that he's got to get up ahead of him more than likely. Kalal sitting right there. Currently tied for 18, 17 points back. Healy's got a 2-point advantage on him coming into this week. So Healy's going to go ahead and have to finish ahead of Healy if he wants to make his way up into the playoffs, and trying to see what it looks like as far as the rest of these guys go. You got Politis back there coming into week 13 in 15th position. He is currently back in 27th. So definitely a spot on the line for these guys looking to make their way in.
Yeah, Politis is in a bad spot here in 27th as Nichols, Healy are up ahead of them. Plus 15 spots. Kalal is plus 15 spots to him right now, or the plus 17 that he needs. So it looks like we might have a situation where Nichols, Healy, Kalal are all racing for Politis' spot right now, as Gerwitz has been able to stay with the pack. Norfleet able to stay with the pack there. As long as they're staying in 5th or 6th, they'll be able to keep that 7-point advantage. Barring, we're not taking into account obviously bonus points right now of leading the most laps, as Healy's going to take the lead and try to lock that bonus point in. As he's led a whole bunch of laps and he's found his way back to the lead right now as well.
Yeah, and here's a team battle right here for you. Joseph Causey coming up on 2 Gear Up drivers. They've got about 5 lap fresher tires there in the 88 camp, so Causey feeling really fast as he goes right on by those guys, but still a good night for Gear Up 3rd, 6th, and 7th so far with Latham, Norfleet, and Herman respectively. And Causey, Shearer both running 5th and 8th. Their next closest is going to be Reese Schaefer back there in 15th, but he's got fresh tires. He's going to be making his way out through the field too in that 17.
Man, as fast as Causey went behind Norfleet's got to feel like Causey got a free extra set of tires or something there. That had to be a bad feeling for that paint job in that 56.
Well, yeah, so next up is going to be Scott Kalal, because Causey's still got 3 lap fresher tires in that 23, and this is a good example here of how much of an advantage that is. There's only 3 laps, and he's running this 23 down like it's nothing.
Wow, just 3. I want to, again, I knew that the tire fall off was going to be big, but just 3 laps was a little bit more extreme than I thought. although these guys were pushing hard right out of the pits to try to get as big of a gap as they can. As he's going to go ahead and take the apron to try to get just that extra lead. That's going to make for a real low entry into 1 and 2. For those fresher tires able to stick.
Yep, so move Causey up to 4th now, just behind Timothy Latham. These two used to racing nose to tail with one another here. So this battle for 3rd, and, well, Causey going to go right on by here with those fresher tires. So move Causey to 3rd.
It's amazing how the cream rises to the top. We mentioned just a little while ago how most of our top 5 were drivers looking to lock their way into the playoffs. Now our top 6 majority of our drivers with wins who are already locked in.
Yeah, well, one of them not locked in and without a win is Scott Healy. He's currently out in front of this thing and currently leading here on lap 66. We're going to step aside, run a quick commercial break, and come right back with this green flag action.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktacks.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
Well, back out here, the green flag still out for the Great Lakes 200, and this lead still up for grabs. Ryan Johnson, very impressive here on the older tires. Must have saved his stuff a little bit to go and battle this 64 of Scott Healy here. I thought Healy was going to step out and pull away, but not the case. Just a quarter of a second separating first and second.
And also, while we're away, those 2 Gear Up Motorsports drivers did drop into the pits. I was mentioning in the break there, a little strategy might be coming into play if we were even close to this needing 2 more stops. Who was going to try to split this last stint in half and who was going to run it out as far as they could.
Well, you see Timothy Latham coming on out and Rob Northley coming on out behind him. So we'll see if the strategy starts to pick up here as he goes a lap down. The leader's going on by. That's Healy and Johnson getting on by. So I have to imagine it won't take long for Latham to go ahead and unlap himself a big 2-mile oval. Only 1 lap down, and Ryan Johnson going on by Scott Healy here for first, so put Johnson back out in front. Here comes Latham getting that lap back just like that.
That's what we've seen, these drivers able to unlap themselves literally in just the next corner. As long as they can get off pit road at least somewhat close to the leader, they're able to unlap themselves going into 3 and 4 and usually clear here by 1 and 2, and that's what we're seeing with Latham.
Yeah, the interesting thing here to mention too is if this thing does stay green and nobody really comes down for a few laps, they're going to be out to enormous leads that might not be able to be made up here with a few laps left, as you see the battle not ending here for first. Healy now taking a look. But that's really going to force people's hands here, seeing Latham come down and now seeing Nichols and Holloman on pit road as well. A lot of people taking note of this.
And Norfleet's able to kind of get a little revenge. He got past with those fresher tires. Now he's able to blow by everybody, and he's going to try to track down Latham.
Yeah, so Nichols now unlapping, or excuse me, Norfleet unlapping himself. So 23 drivers on the lead lap. Nichols going to be the first one lap down on the 42 machine. So Scott Healy now back out in front of this thing. He puts about 2 or 3 car lengths between him and Ryan Johnson. Got to imagine talking to the crew chief right now, figuring out what's the plan, because you got to have enough time to run these guys down. So we'll see if anybody else comes down this time by. Not looking like we have any takers so far.
And I think Nichols' hand was forced there because he was in the same general area, the cutoff line, as to Healy. And if right now they're just fighting for that one spot by Politis, Nichols really forced to do what he needed to do there. Gerwitz, another guy that was close to that playoff line, coming in.
So the 9 making his final stop of the night here. Let's check further on back here. These are some tank drivers. Emerson Ardon, Seth Berger, who've had some trouble here tonight. Currently run 16th and 17th. Not much around them, though. A pretty much open racetrack for these guys.
And Johnson just passed Healy again as Healy's coming into pit road.
Yep, Healy coming in. Scott Kalal also coming in. Brad Herman, Brian McAvoy, Corey Saucier. It's getting busy back there.
A lot of brake smoke and one driver missing pit entry and smacking the cone.
DuPont. It was Joseph DuPont, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be at minimum a pit entry violation. Plus, looks like maybe he took a toe in. Also, let's watch Healy. A lot of brake smoke as he was coming to that line. Let's make sure he didn't get a penalty. Watch him on these next few laps. See if he possibly didn't get a penalty. That's going to bring Ryan Johnson down.
Wow, he is coming in real hot here. Is going to have to smash the brakes. Joseph Causey locking him up big time there, too.
These guys trying to get everything they can, knowing how fast Healy's been on track, trying to get every little inch they can getting in that pit entry.
So that will cycle the lead out to the 82 of Adrian Schumacher here. I want to give Adrian a quick shout out. Very impressive season here in the Cup Series. You see his name locked in green, currently top 5 in the point standings too. Very impressive for Adrian Schumacher making his debut here in the Cup Series. So we'll see when he opts to make his first pit stop, well, last pit stop, I should say, of the night.
And he's one of the drivers also doing pretty well in the Xfinity Series. He's one of the outside looking in and, looking at that playoff lucky dog. I hope to actually see Schumacher get in there because it's going to be at a road course. And the last guy, I'm forced to the lucky dog. I don't think I finished the last 8 races. The last guy I want to go up against for the lucky dog at a road course is Schumacher. So he's locked in here in the Cup and sitting right there in the Xfinity. So a great season for that 82.
Yeah, anything can happen, man. That's why you run the race. But yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely agree with you. I wouldn't want to go up against him either. But right there, Blair Holloman going to go by and unlap himself here. That's 25th place. So now Blair Holloman back on that lead lap. Looking like Adrian's got some time, though. He's not opting to come down anytime soon. He's got nothing to worry about locked in to the playoffs. So maybe just hoping to maybe catch a lucky break. As you see the hashtag Go Faster come out, we're down to 23 laps to go here at the Great Lakes 200.
And the driver that wants to see a yellow like no other is that guy sitting in 4th, the number 6 of Politis. He was the last guy in going into the night, and he's been struggling running kind of in the mid-20s. Right now he's probably going to keep this thing out and hope for that caution so he can stay up here in 4th, or at least not lose too much spots when he comes into pit.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no shot if he comes down with the same strategy as these other guys. He's got to do exactly what he's doing here. The only unfortunate thing is that everybody unlaps themselves so quickly here. I really think it is a uphill battle for that 6 after that damage there in one of those earlier cautions here tonight. So Michael Polite is still trying to work his way and maybe try and claw into the season 4 SRN Buttkicker Cup Series playoffs. Still have Adrian Schumacher out there, Emerson Ardon, Seth Berger. That's our top 3. Michael Politis, Timothy Latham round out the top 5.
And if you look at 7th, 8th, 9th, that battle is heating up as Healy, Johnson, and Nichols. Nichols is going to try to get around Healy. He's got his teammate Johnson there as well to try to hopefully get himself ahead of Healy as they're, in theory, kind of racing for that Politis spot right now.
Yep, so Johnson goes by Nichols here. He's going to go ahead and try and get by that 64. Scott Healy, man, he nailed that stop. He's got a big gap between him and Johnson. Johnson with 1 lap fresher tires. But we'll see if he's got the speed to run him down. 21 laps to go here for these guys.
And unfortunately for Nichols, he had to go just a few laps ahead of Healy to try to put himself back in that position and get ahead of him. So I know he's got 4 or 5 lap older tires at least to Healy. So he's going to try to stay in that 9th spot as much as he can.
So riding on board with Ryan Johnson. He is closing the gap there on Scott Healy's 64 as they enter turn 3 and exit out of turn 4 with 20 laps to go. Johnson trying to get by here. This is going to be the battle for the lead here if this thing stays green.
And I'm sure Johnson knows what's on line for his teammate Nichols as he's going to try to steal that win away from Healy to try to limit the amount of bonus points that Healy can get. I believe he's probably our lap leader, so he's going to get that bonus point. Johnson's going to do everything he can to limit the amount of points that Healy can get, so hopefully his teammate Nichols can sneak in as well.
Yeah, so this is a look at the deltas. After the last 5 laps, Ryan Johnson has been running down Scott Healy. But now, wow, Scott Healy with a really tight moment there. Norfleet there with the slower car. He goes on by in the 64, so move Healy on by there. He gets up to 6th.
And Johnson's going to get a big run on both of these guys as they enter 1 and 2. We know Johnson's been a little bit faster on the long run. Got to be a bad feeling for that 64, knowing Johnson's got a lap fresher tires and has been a little bit quicker on the long runs already.
Yeah, and let's not forget either, we had a taker, one of our first takers, if not the first, Timothy Latham, currently going to cycle out to the lead once this thing all shapes up. He's currently 4th, but these guys are not very far behind him here, 1.2 seconds to be exact.
And how long can Politis stay out in front of these leaders, and how long can he keep that car on track hoping for that yellow flag? I can only imagine he's only got maybe 2 or 3 more laps where he's going to have to bring it in.
Yeah, so he is not too far ahead of his teammate here, Timothy Latham. You can see the yellow Gear Up Motorsports machine there just ahead of him in 3rd. He's trying to hang on, but right now Timothy Latham sees those cars getting real big in his mirror. Healy with a full head of steam down the back straightaway here as Ryan Johnson closes in on him. That battle getting close here.
Ryan Johnson just kind of stalking right now, it looks like, because not really putting a lot of pressure on Healy. As Healy's trying to get as much of a toe on Latham as he possibly can right now.
So Healy going to go on the outside and make it look pretty easy there with the 5-lap fresher tires here. Ryan Johnson going to go and waste no time, go right with him. That's what you got to do. And try and use that higher run out of turn 2 to get that run down the backstretch. And that's what you're seeing here, a big shove into turn 3 here. And we got a battle here. This is going to be the race for the lead once Ardon, Berger, and Politis all bring their hot rods down pit road.
Great job by Healy there. That forced him to drive it a lot harder in the corner than he wanted to, but he was able to make it stick. But for Johnson, that's just one more corner that, Healy had to really put some extreme tension on those tires to get it to stick, and he is just stalking his prey right now.
Yeah, so Healy trying to defend here. You see the 43 closing. He's really fast through turns 1 and 2, but that run stalls out down the back straightaway. Healy going to have no problem defending here with 16 laps to go. Not many other battles shaping up here. We got Rob Norfleet and Randy Nichols. They're battling side by side. B-Saw back there in the 28 machine. So this battle currently for a top 10 spot, 10th to be exact. Nichols making his way back up through the field.
Yeah, and he's going to try to stay ahead of Norfleet. I think Norfleet was some 5-7 points good, to the cut there. So Norfleet's probably feeling pretty good right now, knowing the top 3 have to still pit. I say that as these guys are starting to move their way past some of these guys. Politis now up to 5th.
Yeah, and you can see the damage on the right front there of the 6 really affecting the handling. And if there is any aero-driven track, it's usually going to be the 2-milers here, and I think that's going to force Politis to come down. Nope, he stays out here.
I think his bed's made. He's got to run that thing on fumes and hope for a caution.
So still nose to tail as we head down into turn number 1, putting Emerson Hart on 1 lap down now as, well, he was already a lap down. He's just in front. Actually, no, he's on the lead lap. I'm confusing because these guys have not pitted yet. I'm confused a little bit. So there Ardon goes to 3rd and move Healy and Johnson on by them. Healy now out in front.
Couple of lap cars are approaching, so there's going to be at least 2 cars of lap traffic, then some clear road in front of them. And Johnson, I think, is not going to waste much time now that these 2 have worked their way to the lead. I think he was content to follow Healy through the traffic, but now that this is a race for the lead, it's going to heat up this last 13 laps.
Yeah, we'll see if the 43 maybe tries to force Scott Healy to overdrive it with just 13 laps to go. Johnson has to know he's gotten by the 64 once, but Healy really put it on him in that first stint of this long green flag run. Got out to about a 2-second lead on the rest of the pack. But Johnson slowly chipped away, got back to the bumper here. Knows he has the speed, but just has to get by, running out of time to do so as we come back to the stripe. 12 laps to go, takes a peek to the inside.
And I'm sure Johnson's getting an earful from Nichols in the team Discord telling him, come on, buddy, get by him. I need you to get by him. Don't let him get the win. So I'm sure Johnson's pushing hard.
Doesn't want to get into him. Yeah,
nope,
that was close.
Nope. Keeping it clean, but Healy's going to get a little tight off. Johnson able to rotate that corner a little bit, and he's going to get a push from Causey.
Yeah, Causey 1 lap down here, so he's back in 26th position. Causey not wanting to interfere too much, but he's going to help out Ryan Johnson. Gets tight there, almost gets in to the 64, stays off him though. Johnson going to be a little bit hindered possibly by his teammate there, Justin Rideout, just in front of him on the exit of 4. He's got Ballesteros there too, so a big pull from his teammates down the front straightaway.
Yeah, fortunately for Johnson, he was able to, it wasn't a half a car sooner that he caught those guys. He was able to actually tuck in line, get a little draft. These guys are going to stay high out of the way of the leaders. And they are going to, I thought, maybe cause Healy to slow up his corner a little bit, but Healy's able to tuck in line now. He's going to get the pull from those JW tandem and pull to the back of Johnson, but he's going to get pinched down by Ballesteros here on exit a little bit. That's going to give Johnson the advantage, and here comes Politis.
Yep, Politis with those fresh tires. He's trying to make his way back. They make contact there in the 6. The 64, the 6 barely touches the grass. That could have been a very bad moment for a lot of the guys out there, but he saves it.
Yeah, Politis kind of in a Hail Mary moment here. He's got to try to unlap himself and hope for a late caution, be on the lead lap, and be able to compete with the freshest tires. These guys will probably have to pit. He'll probably be able to stay out. He's going to try to unlap himself as fast as he can, and he's going to put, I would think he would still put pressure on this 64 here, knowing that, that 64 is racing for his spot.
Yeah, that's got to be a bad feeling knowing that guy is in your spot right now as far as the playoffs go. So he gets on by cleanly, unlaps himself. Politis tries to make his trek back to the front here with 9 laps to go. This is the race for the lead right here.
And that entry kind of put Johnson, he didn't know if he wanted to enter low with Politis or go kind of higher, and that kind of messed up his entry and let Healy pull up a little bit on him.
So there you see the 88 following in line here. Another lap down driver. First car lap down right there, Joseph Causey. So he's just kind of cruising behind these guys, letting them sort it out. Coming out of turn 4 to see 8 laps to go. We'll try and keep an eye on a few other of the battles. See what are the cut line drivers. What are they doing out there right now? Scott Kalal, he was one of those guys we were paying attention to. 17 points back at the cut line, currently running in 6th. He's one of those guys that's kind of hoping Scott Healy doesn't win the race either. here tonight. And let's see what else we got going through the field. He's got his teammate just behind him. Besaw got a little bit of a bigger gap.
A little bit of a bigger gap. And where was the 79 of McAvoy? I know he was in a danger spot there. He's trying to make sure he stays as close as he can to Kalal and Nichols and not let them jump him either.
Well, let's go ahead, bring it up. There you see him tied for 9, 21 points to the good. So currently 9th. The 79 feels pretty good about his chances. But we just saw Aaron Gerwitz. He is currently running in that 11th position as he's side by side with Reese Schaefer further on back. So Gerwitz has got to be feeling some pressure here with some good runs by a lot of these guys. He's got to worry about Nichols, who's up in 8th just in front of him.
Yeah, Nichols was 12 points to the good to Healy, so he's going to make that 42 real wide these last 7 laps. Trying to stay, right now he's 6 spots behind. Knows that Healy at least probably got a bonus point for leading the most laps. He's going to make that 42 real wide against this 79 and now the 9 coming with a head of steam.
Yeah, so all these guys on a little bit of fresher tires. Nichols has got to be feeling like he's got a little bit of lead in that car, slowing him down a little bit. It's got to just defend for 6 more laps. We'll see if he can squeak his way in that 42 machine, but it is heating up here as the regular season is winding down here in SRN's Buttkicker Cup Series.
Yeah, you see, he knows he's getting that pressure coming from the guys behind him, and he's trying his best to get around that 28 of Besaw. Finally tucks right back in line. He's going to ride behind him, try to stay out in front of these 2 guys behind him, as the laps just are not ticking down fast enough for that 42 machine.
So back out in front, the lead here with 5 laps to go. Still just as tight as it was when we left it here a while back, and 5 to go, and Healy's going to be trying to work and get by that 43, but starting to look like Johnson might have the edge here as he's put a little bit of distance now between him and the 64.
Bad position for Healy, like we mentioned. Johnson on the lap fresher tires and had kind of the better long run speed throughout the race. Healy's trying to find that long run speed. He's going to get looks like a pretty good run out of 3 and 4. He's going to tuck behind, but still kind of stuck at that kind of, 10th and a half to 2/10 back, but he closes it up to a 10th and is getting on the bumper.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can make up some ground with 4 laps to go. Your top 10, Ryan Johnson, Scott Healy, Ed Shearer, Timothy Latham, Scott Kalal. And you got Rob Besaw back there in 6th, Randy Nichols 7th, Seth Berger 8th, Aaron Gerwitz in 9th, and Brian McAvoy back there in 10th. But this is the battle we're going to stay with all the way to the end here of the Great Lakes 200. Ryan Johnson brings them back to the stripe to see 3 laps to go. Causey trying to help Healy catch up.
He's trying everything he can. He's trying to push Healy back to the lead. Trying to do it as aggressively as he can without turning that 64. He's giving him every shove he can.
Not sure Healy wants that.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's probably in the playoffs right now if it stays the way it is. But
I don't know. I with Nichols with that 12-point gap, only 4 points back, I think Healy's going to at least need to get this win. And I know we're only thinking they're fighting for that 1 spot with Politis. There may be another spot that we're not, accounting for. Healy's thinking he's got to get this win.
Yeah, so your math a lot better than mine here with 2 to go. So Healy going to be really trying to get the help from Causey here as he gets another big shove down the front straightaway here at Michigan International Speedway. But just look at how the 43 rolls through the center of the turn there. Just puts that gap back on the 64. And then back on the bumper is going to be the 88.
Yeah, they know that right now Johnson is quicker through the center of the corner, but look what Causey's doing. A great job of pushing that 64, runs, kind of backs off, runs a little bit different line of that 64, and then gets a big run, and Healy gets tight. Causey's not going to be able to push him any longer.
Nope, so that's going to really hurt Scott Healy's chances. Could that possibly have just cost him a shot at the playoffs here with 1 lap to go? At the Great Lakes 200, Ryan Johnson just 4 more turns.
Oh, man. They were trying to do everything he could to help Healy out. Was really doing a great job of backing up in the corners to give that 64 machine big shoves. Now can he get up and maybe try to agitate Johnson a little bit to let Healy come but catch back up?
Well, with about 0.8 of a second, I don't think he's going to have the room. And coming off at 4, that checkered flag is waving. Ryan Johnson gets the win at the Great Lakes 200.
Healy second, Shearer third, Latham fourth, Kalal, Besaw, Nichols, Gerwitz, McAvoy, and Schaefer, your unofficial top 10.
Man, Barney just waving that flag. He's excited to be done with the regular season here in the SRN Buttkicker Cup Series, and that is a pretty good way for the old tiny horse here to end the regular season. You know, a dominant truck season last year, not so much here. Still got a win here so far. Now adds a second win to his name here in the Cup Series.
And Ryan Nardo said, wasn't sure he could figure out this car yet. And look at the respect the 64 is giving him here. He knew he ran him hard, ran him clean, and we see the reverse lap.
Yeah, the famous reverse Polish lap. He's going to go ahead and whip it around here and take a lap around here before too long. There he goes.
Yeah, I think the track clear.
So Ryan Johnson, your winner here for the Great Lakes 200, and celebrating like Ryan Johnson does.
Renardo reverse, I think that's what we'll call it. The Ryan Nardo, I think, is what the new nickname some of the drivers have decided to give him in the Discord there. So call this the Ryan Nardo reverse.
Well, I feel real bad for his engine right now. You see the RPMs, and
I was about to say, can he make it 2 miles in reverse? Is the engine gonna make it?
I don't know.
If it does, I think a lot of these other drivers might want to see that thing in tech inspect in the end.
Well, he's going to go ahead and finish his celebrations out there. And we're going to head up to the blimp and give you the finishing order here tonight for race 13 of 20. Ryan Johnson comes home P number 1. Scott Healy comes home second. Ed Shearer comes home in third with Timothy Latham and Scott Kalal rounding out the top 5.
6 through 10, Robert Besaw Jr., Randy Nichols, Aaron Gerwitz, Brian McAvoy, and Reese Schaefer.
And then you got Brad Herman 11th, Rob Norfleet in 12th, Corey Saucier in 13th, Jordan Sailors 14th, Thomas Toomey comes home 15th, and the rest of your top 20 going to be Lane Hostler, Johan Seminario, Brandon Domain there in 18th, and 19th going to be Dave Fuchs Jr., and Adrian Schumacher comes home in 20th. So we got some interviews to get to here. Let's go ahead and track down Ed Shearer. So let's see. There he is. We'll bring him on up into the broadcast booth. Ed, welcome to the SRN broadcast booth. You got Greg Olenek and Nick Halda joining you, coming home in third, wrapping up the regular season. Not a bad way to wrap it up heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed either way of the last. I really wanted to get that win for Andrew and Kayla. They just welcomed baby boy Drew into the world, and I'm really good friends with Andrew at Pit Stop TV and having Pit Stop on the car. I really wanted to get that win for them, and I feel bad a little bit, but I hope they're proud no matter what. And congratulations to them on their baby boy being born. And yeah, just didn't have enough out of the Pit Stop TV Camry, and we'll try to go get him in the playoffs. But I'm really looking forward to playoffs. I feel like we have a good chance this year, and congrats to Ryan. I'm pretty good friends with him, and for what he's done this year, he's been doing pretty good with those JW guys. But hats off to them. They had a good race, and hopefully we'll just get them next week when we start the playoffs.
So how do you feel about the playoffs with this race having playoff intensity, especially early with a lot of those guys knowing several drivers with a chance to race their way in? The tensions were high from the drop of the green flag today.
I feel pretty confident. I know we're not supposed to swear in here, but I feel like we have a good chance to kick everybody's ass and go win a championship. But I have no intent of, taking it easy for anything. I know. We try to keep it respectful in here, but I just feel like it's make or break for us this year. I feel like we have all the tools to go win a championship this year, and I think we can go get it done in Las Vegas. We just need to just keep doing what we're doing, getting these top 3s and top 5s and all these points, and go put on a show for Pit Stop TV and the rest of the boys back at Tank Racing.
I think every driver in the playoffs probably shares your sentiments. I don't think anybody's going to take offense to that, because if you're in the playoffs and you don't have that mentality, probably don't belong in the playoffs. I think everybody in the field is just feeling the same way you are. Should make for a great playoff race.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I believe we go to Kansas next week, if I'm not mistaken. That's a really good track for me. Definitely have a lot of wins there, and I'm definitely looking forward to either ripping the bottom or ripping the top and showing my little Larson side I have of me and ripping the top of the racetrack. But I feel confident no matter what racetrack we go to for the rest of the playoffs. The only one for certain is that Red Bull Ring. Of course, we got that couple weeks, and that's going to be a question mark, I think, for everybody. But no matter what, just I want to thank everybody at Tank Racing, all the sponsors that we have, and everybody that's been supporting us all year, all the fans out there, whoever's in chat. Thank you for supporting us all year long, and we're going to try to bring Tank Racing a championship for the team and also a driver's championship. So hopefully it would make you all proud.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Sounds good. You already got the thank yous out of the way. And yeah, I got to give a big shout out to Andrew myself. Yeah, congratulations on the new baby boy. So we'll send you down to Tank Racing and go ahead and start working on the playoffs, Ed. And we'll see you next week at Kansas for the Jayhawk 180.
Absolutely, boys. Appreciate it.
All right. So that was Ed Shear coming home in P number 3. Let's go ahead and track down Scott Healy, my good buddy Scott Healy. Met him once or twice here. He's a really good dude. Let's bring him on up to the booth. Scott, it's Greg Olenek, Nick Halda up here in the SRN broadcast booth. Welcome. And know you're probably a little bit disappointed here with how the race ended up, but nonetheless, P2 finish here tonight. Do you know you needed that win here to possibly make your run here in the Season 4 playoffs here in the Buttkicker Cup Series?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough run. I knew I had to get first place or have two of the guys work out to get into the playoffs, but I mean, I don't even know what the points look like. I mean, the points could look completely different in the next couple of days when they pull it up. So we're gonna have to see. But other than that, I mean, it was a strong run. My car was nice. Near the end, it was a little bit tight, a little bit loose. But overall, it was a good race.
Yeah, we knew what some of the troubles that Politis was having. It almost seemed like you and Nichols were battling for that spot, and we saw that you were definitely probably, I believe, led the most laps and definitely trying to get every bonus point you can. Still have the lucky dog race. If you're not in, I wouldn't be surprised if you are in. It's going to be really, really close. I'm sure you and your teammates are going to be hitting that refresh button on the Discord standings a lot tonight.
Me and him went really good. I'm happy to see Ryan win. It was a tough battle between me and him throughout the end of the race. Just got really tight last two laps, but I was just trying to push really hard. I knew I needed this win, so I was just trying to give it everything I got for my teammates, for myself.
You did. You definitely gave it everything. You had a strong car all night, and were able to just really race up front for a majority of the night for sure. And I do want to say thank you. I don't know if you realize this or not, Greg, but we are interviewing a driver that I picked. So going to the playoffs, I don't want to hear any more of that. Yes. So I didn't want to say it on the broadcast, but we are interviewing a driver at the end of the race that I picked. So I feel much better picking drivers going into the playoffs, considering the streak that I was on.
Okay, I see you broadcast curse, huh? You're gonna be P2 over here, man. Come on, dude.
So yeah, you did curse him a little bit. He could have got one more spot. So you're not off the hook yet, Nick.
Okay.
Well, Scott, man, nonetheless, great run here tonight. Before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
I'd like to thank all my friends, my sponsor, RPM Transmission, Yellow Stripe Racing, my teammates. All my teammates did a good job this year. Keep digging, keep trying, keep getting them wins. Not PRL. I'm trying to think of the other sponsor name. I can't really think about it right now. But all my sponsors, all my friends, family members, everybody. So I'd like to give out a thank you to all of them, and you too, guys. You guys do a great job sponsoring. So thank you for having me up here.
Well, we appreciate it, man, and we look forward to seeing you make that big run next week at Kansas. I'm not counting you out by any means just yet. You're a champion here in Speed Racing Network, so I expect you to be in the playoffs. So get at it, and we'll see you out the Jayhawk 180 next week, bud.
Yep, I'm going to keep digging. Have a good night, guys.
All right, see ya. All right, so that was Scott Healy coming home in P number 2 here, just short. We have not yet got the final standings here in the regular season just yet, but still working on getting them from Sean Griffith potentially before we go off air here tonight. So going to go ahead and pull up Ryan Johnson now into the broadcast booth. Ryan, it's Greg Olenek and Nick Halda up here in the SRN broadcast booth. congratulations on the big win here. You were already locked in, so you didn't have much to lose. How's it feel to come away with the win and potentially getting your teammate in the playoffs here too, and Randy Nichols?
Got my first win. Well, my first official win. I love it. Yeah, I don't. That was awesome racing with Scott there. I don't know how, but we ended up kind of on the same strategy ish. I'm pretty sure he pit on the last caution, but I was able to save my tires enough, I think, to stay with them. Brandy, hell yeah! If he made the playoffs, that's great. I'd like not to be alone. Yeah, let's go.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering how much of an earful you were getting in the Discord channel from Randy about getting around that 64.
Yeah, I don't know if it was even about that. I was just trying to talk to Randy like you got this tonight. Like just have a decent race, take your time, no unnecessary risks. That he did great. What did he finish 7th? I think. All I needed was a good night, I think, to get him in there. So I'll be happy if he is.
Yeah, I think he might have jumped Politis there unofficially. We're waiting for the official ones to come out. And, something I asked our third place driver there, Ed Shear, speaking of the playoffs, this race being the cutoff race, a lot of guys trying to race their way in kind of had playoff intensity right when that green flag dropped. What do you think about that level of intensity as we enter the playoffs now?
Oh yeah, it was pretty wild at the start there. I know the field got pretty separated on that caution, and new tires and old tires together. That wasn't going to mix well, and fortunately, we almost were a part of it. But it sucks that Seth was. I know he was fast, and we had the same idea. I think on strategy there, but it I think it's only going to get more intense from here on out. So I think we're in for a wild playoffs.
I think you are indeed, but one thing you know for sure is that you are in the playoffs and you're going to be a contender for sure once you get out there. So I have no doubt about that. But Ryan, before we let you go here tonight, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, man. Everybody at SRN that puts it on, all the sponsors, all the admins, you up in the booth for broadcasting, and my teammate Nick. We won't talk about him though. I'm just kidding.
No.
Everybody at JW Racing, Justin, Randy, Matt, Drew, all our other teammates in the other series, family, friends, everybody tuning in and watching, all the drivers for making it a really good race after those couple cautions in the beginning. And yeah, let's see what the playoffs got for us.
All right, buddy. Well, we look forward to seeing you in those playoffs. A nice bit of momentum heading into those playoffs. So we'll send you back down to your teammates here. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you out there at Kansas.
Appreciate it, guys. Take it easy.
All right. Well, Nick Halda, drum roll, please. I have the 15 drivers that will be competing in the SRN Buttkicker Cup Series playoffs. And there you see, we got a few people sneaking in here. We got Randy Nichols. He made it in. He is going to be racing for that championship. Rob Norfleet makes it in. Johan Seminario qualifies there. Aaron Gerwitz, Brandon Domain, Brad Herman, Brian McAvoy, Seth Berger, Lane Hostler, Adrian Schumacher, Timothy Latham, Reese Schaefer, Ryan Johnson, and Ed Shear, as well as Joseph Causey. That is your field of 15 Cup Series drivers here, and I know one specifically. I'm not going to name his name, but I know one is going to be very excited right now.
Absolutely. And for those 15 drivers, a great, strong field. And now remember, we'll be adding one more to this field with the lucky dog, and it's going to make for a great 16 drivers fighting for the championship. And, Randy Nichols coming on late. He's a 15th place guy, but he's been on the tear late. Brandon Main races that way in. So even if you're these top 5 drivers, you can't be sleeping on these bottom 5 drivers. They've shown a lot of speed here late in the season.
Yeah, so this is going to be very fun once we get it underway next week for the Buttkicker Cup Series playoffs at Kansas. But that's going to do it for us here tonight in Speed Racing Network here at Michigan. But we're going to be back here same time, same place tomorrow. Sean Griffith and Brandon Domain will have that call out here, same place here at Michigan International Speedway for the Truck Series drivers out there. And it's going to be a doozy, and I'm looking forward to it. A lot of spots to be claimed in the TJ's Team Truck Series playoffs. But like I said, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the little bell so you know exactly when we go live. But for myself, Nick Halda, everybody behind the scenes, and all the drivers here in Speed Racing Network, we wish you guys a good night. Go faster.